Y'all, say back on here in the episode of Indigo Podcast, and today the title of this episode is a recap of my first half marathon, plus a little Q&A at the end, because, I mean, who doesn't like Q&As? So, anyway, in terms of the half marathon, just going to go into the splits, the prep before the race, a quick run over of just the race, how I felt during and after, and all that fun jazz, all that type of stuff. So, first thing we're going to get into is the race day stats, so the splits, the placement, so, out of how many people, which is 691, and just the overall time. What was the time of the race? Which, I mean, is probably widely known now, but, just going to go into it right here. So, first thing is total time. So, the total time it took me to complete the race was 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 28 seconds, which is a 6:13 minute per mile pace per mile. I was first in my age group, which is 19 years old and under, and then third overall out of 691 runners. So, I don't know. I just think all that's kind of crazy for me personally, because back in my cross-country days, I'd be very close to that pace for a way shorter amount of time and shorter amount of distance, and I just held around that pace for 13 miles. That's crazy. And, I mean, obviously, it's been 5 months of prep coming to this event and this point in time, but it's still, in perspective, third overall to 691 people is crazy work. And the paces, which I'm about to get into, I think it's kind of crazy just historically for me personally. But speaking of the splits, let's get into the splits really quick. So mile 1 was a 6:06, mile 2 was a 6:13, mile 3 is a 6:04, mile 4 is another 6:04, mile 5 was a 6:09, mile 6 6:13, mile 7 6:15, mile 8 6:17, mile 9 6:14, mile 10 6:14, mile 11 6:08, mile 12 6:13, and mile 13 is another 6:08. And the last portion, it says 0.2, but also I need to preface too, all these splits take with a grain of salt because the GPS was kind of a bit late on my watch. But I mean, that's expected with any course when you do a big race, but they're pretty accurate, but take it with a grain of salt. But the last 0.2, which is really 0.1, but that's what Strava says here, 5:08 minute per mile, because at the end, some dude tried to outkick me in the 10K, actually. I had to think about that for a second, but in the 10K, and I didn't know he was in the 10K in the moment, because, I'm just trying to finish the race. I'm not really thinking that deep about it, but he tried to outkick me. I'm like, no. We're not doing that. So I just sped up, and I'm glad he was there because it pushed me to finish faster in the race. But still, I mean, no, it's not happening. But shout out to bro, by the way. Seems like I talked to him after, cool guy. But I just think overall how I feel about the race, I'm very happy with that one. Just 5 months of prep, because I'm not gonna lie, the Saturday before I was a bit unsure of how it was gonna go because I didn't really feel good. I felt kind of off. I just felt kind of tired, more fatigued than I thought I should have. But come race day, I just made sure I dialed in my nutrition and my hydration and all that the best I could. I mean, when I took off for the start line on race day, everything clicked. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I have nothing to worry about, But just the results, I wanted to hit around 120 to 122. So 121 is smack dab in the middle. So perfect, good splits and all that right there to equal out to 121. But overall, you can't be mad at that, bro. That's perfect execution, in my opinion. You can't really nitpick anything with that. Obviously it's my first race, so I'm still naive in some aspects, but for being 18 years old and doing 5 months prep and doing this as my first half marathon, hey, I'm very proud of it, and I'm just proud of all the prep and how that translated to race day. But first thing, race day stats, so splits, placement, overall time, all of that. And like I said, just very proud of that one and very happy with how it turned out. But second thing I want to go over is just a quick little brief run over of the prep prior to the race. Most of this y'all kind of know because I've documented it and, content posted. But on race day, I woke up at 4:15 a.m., a little under 3 hours out from the start time, which is at 7, and was out the door around 5:20 and got there right before 6. So perfect time to, do what you got to do, race. Well, not yet, not until 7, but I mean, warm up, do some strides, do some dynamic stretches, all of that. But in terms of nutrition, I mean, I've stated this before, but I'll go over it a little bit real quick. So before the race, I had 3 scoops of G&M Sport, and then I had 1 big slice of sourdough, and then I had 1 banana, and also a cup of coffee with a little bit of plant milk and some stevia. And I sipped on the G&M Sport on the ride to Sugarland, which is where I raced, just to delay the carb digestion, just to make sure I didn't digest the carbs too quick, So yeah, that was the nutrition. Kind of went over that a couple times, so y'all probably already know that, but just wanted to throw that in there. And then the last thing in terms of the run over for the prep before the race, I used a massage gun and massage ball about 30 minutes out from the race. Also did a 5-minute warm-up because I was initially going to do a 1-mile warm-up, but I just noticed I was a little bit too close to the start time for the race. So I just pulled back a little bit intuitively and just threw in some dynamic stretches I normally do. Cut it a bit short because they started telling people, hey, get in the start rally. So I just cut it short and made sure I got 2 strides in and did all that before I made my way into the start rally. So yeah, that's just a quick run over of the prep, before the race. And yeah, I've kept it the exact same as I normally would do and worked perfectly for race day. But in terms of how I felt during and after the race, the start of the race, miles 1 through 4, roughly, felt effortless. Like it was like maybe a cool 65 degrees. Sun wasn't out. Humidity felt very low, so that definitely attributed to a good race and how I felt, and just felt effortless. I felt like I was floating. I was way under pace. The first mile when you got out, I was like, okay, we're gonna get out a little bit faster, and I could hold the pace. But I'm really just happy with how consistent the paces were. Even though I got out a bit faster than what me and coach planned, which is around 6:15 to 6:30, but I held on very well. I stayed under 6:20 for the entire race, so can't be mad at that. I'm very happy with that. And in terms of when it got tough for the race, it didn't really get tough for me personally until mile 10, but I still felt good enough to hold pace because I know Chris was like, okay, you got to get under 120, but I just knew the pace I was at. I mean, it felt like a very, very good effort. And also coach kind of agreed. I probably got out a little bit too fast, and maybe if I got out a bit slower, I probably would have got 120 or under. Probably so, but all things considered, I think it was still a very good effort, and I put out everything I could on the course and tried to hold on the best I could. But only other thing to throw in there, sprinkle in there, is a side stitch I had at mile 11 to 12. Don't know where that came from. I don't know if it's from the gels, because I'm not gonna lie, one thing I could do better, and I'm gonna do better next time I run a half marathon, because I will be running more. I want to get a little bit more, or 1 or 2 more half marathons. Words are hard. 1 or 2 half marathons under my belt before I run the full marathon, just to get more experience or whatever. But probably the gels. So I didn't start experimenting with them and simulating with them the race day nutrition until like 2 weeks out, because I ordered them a bit later than I should have. That's my fault, but still I did do a lot of big workouts with them, so that definitely helped a little bit. But yeah, in terms of after the race, I'm not gonna lie, it took me a while to recover, because I had no idea what the recovery protocol, I guess if you will, looked like after a half marathon, because I mean, this is my first one, so I'm naive to that until now. But yeah, I mean, Monday legs felt trash, Tuesday legs felt trash, and also I had a lot of brain fog too, which I didn't expect. That's a little bit interesting. I mean, obviously big effort systemically in terms of systemic fatigue, so that probably explains why. But today's actually the first day I feel pretty normal in terms of how I feel, and I think tomorrow I'm gonna do my first lift back. I'm gonna just do kind of full upper body. I'll probably do a push session, and a pull session, and I won't do lower body until next week. So I think it's kind of OD. I'm gonna let my legs kind of recuperate, just get some steps under me, hit some upper body lifts, push and pull, and just wrap it up that way. But as of now, I feel pretty good. Just been trying to sleep as much as I can, walk as much as I can. Because I'm not going to lie, I think it was Monday night, I went for a walk. I was supposed to do a mile walk, and I had to cut it short because my legs just were not working, and I just was surprised. It was kind of frustrating, I'm not going to lie, because it's kind of limiting in some ways, but it's a part of the recovery. Your body has to recuperate and get back to baseline after that big effort you put out, But yeah, that was the third section. Let's talk about how I felt during and after the race. And now, just gonna go into some major takeaways. Just kind of some, I guess, big lessons and big just things I can take with me after the race. So honestly, the overall thing I took away from it is just it's a big confidence booster because 121.28 in my debut for me personally, that's wild. So it just is a reminder that consistency and staying committed and disciplined and just staying along for the process, it pays off in the end. And it just showed me how far I've come from cross country in my senior year, and that was like my first full year of long distance running. And the fact that after a year of training, well, after 5 months, just later in the year, coming out and running a 121 half marathon, I think that's pretty impressive if you ask me. But it really just showed me how much potential, I have in a long distance running space, and just how impressive it is for me at 18. And it's still pretty young, in terms of runner's age, I guess. And I just have a lot of momentum built, off of this, a lot of stuff coming in the future. But another thing I learned, a major takeaway I took from the race was just the fact that you're the one who facilitates the outcome of your life, and I just think influence from external forces can really, at times, obviously you have mentors and people that can tell you, okay, this is probably the right way to go about it. This is probably the wrong way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? But I just think a lot of influence from external forces are just chatter. It distracts you from what you really think, and it makes you think what they think, and you don't really believe that, And I feel like with this race, it just proved to me, when you fully double down on what you want to do and you fully go all in and just unrelentingly consistent, and you just keep showing up and you do something you believe in, which for me is running. I really believe in that. I really love it, and you just keep showing up. It's gonna, like I say, it's gonna pay off in the end, and I just feel like that all comes full circle, because I feel like if you're doing something and you don't really believe in it, I don't feel like it'll really play out the way you want it to, But that was just kind of a little thing right there. But last thing, the major takeaway I got from it was just how much I appreciate all the support and the love around the prep and the race. Because when I posted it, just the reaction it got, I mean, likes aren't everything, but just it gives you an idea of engagement or whatever. But just the nice words I got from people and the kind words and just all the support, it's, I'm just grateful for it all. It's just great that, I can do something that I really love to do, and do something that I spend a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy doing, and just people just recognizing that, and just being like, yo, I see you, and it's not just random people. It's people that, I've grown with, and people I know personally, people I have deep relationships with. And it's a little bit, not even a little bit, it's a lot of bit different when it's coming from people you actually respect, because it's coming from a lot of bots and just people you don't know. And I'm saying, like, it's just like, all right, but it's just coming from people that have consistently supported you and just have real love for you, but nonetheless, I just appreciate all the support and just all the nice words and all the encouragement, all the just all of it. It's just great to see, and I'm just happy to see where we can take it in the future. But last thing I'm gonna go over really quick before we get into the Q&A portion of the race recap is just what's next. What's the next races on the calendar? What am I gonna be doing next? How's my training gonna change? So on and so on. So next race I'm gonna do this year, and the last race I'm gonna do this year, most likely 99% sure, is a Turkey Dash in November. Just going for a big 5K PR, because the last PR I have on record is the one I did in I believe senior year. I ran 18:21.44, 18:21, but I want to run, well, based on this time I just laid down and a half, I think I can run 17:30 or under pretty easily. Well, I'm not gonna say easily. The 5K is very, I ain't gonna lie, it's once you get into well on the 5K, it feels like you're cooked, like, because once you get through mile 2, it's the same pain, but it just stays with you. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be my first road 5K, so it's probably going to be a bit different. Anyway, bottom line, big 5K PR in November. That's what we're going for, and I'll document a little bit of that as well. And then in terms of the next half, that next half marathon, I'll probably do 1 or 2 next year, probably around the March to July range, rough estimate. And then a full marathon late next year, most likely, the Big Kahuna. That's probably what we're going to do. But yeah, that's what's next. I'm not in a rush to do any races right now. Just making sure my body recovers and I'm mentally there and physically there and all of that. I mean, 5 months, that's a long time to prep, but hey, we made it do what it do. It paid off, and I'm really happy with how the race went and the splits and just how good I felt and everything. Like it went perfectly in my opinion. But other than that, I'm going to pull up the questions real quick from Insta and answer these questions, and then we'll wrap up the episode there. But okay, we got 4 questions here. Let's go through them. So first one I'm going to go over for the Q&A portion is, how and when did you learn how to calculate your calories and carbs, etc.? This is a really good question, and I think more people should probably be aware of this. Not neurotically like obsessive about it. You should be aware and cognizant of how many calories and kind of your macro distribution, if you will. But in terms of that, I would say, I mean, it's factual, but I started in, I would say 2020. Yeah, I think 2020, because that's when I lost like a bunch of weight. But I learned to do it mainly from YouTube, because I learned about, food scales and, macro distributions and, calories like you asked, and carbs and fats and all that. But yeah, I would say 2020. And I learned it from YouTube and just kind of trial and error and just trying things and seeing what worked for me and how to do it and just doing it from experience. And yeah, so I started in 2020 and learned from YouTube. I learned a lot of stuff from YouTube, like how to do long distance running, obviously from my coach, but just getting the idea of it and getting it under my feet and just learning the certain aspects of it, if you will. But yeah, that's the answer to that question right there. But this next one, it's a really good question. What made you start taking long distance running serious? I would say probably junior year, when I ran my first mile, and it was a dual meet. And with dual meets in high school, at least from my high school I went to, the runners can pretty much hop in any race they want to, any event they want to. So historically I was a 400 meter runner, obviously, but I wanted to hop in the mile because, I had a Garmin at the time and I just loved the easy running and I thought it was very interesting, so I hopped in a mile race. And after running the 620 in December 2023, which is wild, after I just ran 6:13 average pace for 13 miles, but I wanted to get under 6 minutes in a mile, so I hopped in and I ran like 5:48 or something crazy. So that just gave me, I guess, the confidence. Okay, this is my lane. This is where I should be. And then I just kept doing the 800 and the mile here and there. And then I ran 5:25 at district later that year, I mean. So then I told my coach I would do cross country the next year. So I did. And I came during the summer and trained all summer. And then boom, it just kind of exploded from there. And here we are running half marathons and stuff. So I would just say seeing the potential I had, and it just made me want to go even deeper in it, and just continue seeing what I could do. But yeah, very good question. I never really thought about that heavy, because I know what made me take running serious, but not long distance specifically. But I would say just how well it suited me and how natural it felt for me personally, and just I noticed how much ground I could cover in it, and it just seems very. It just seems like me. Like it's just like, just consistently doing the mundane, easy miles over and over again, and it's just something that I feel like kind of signifies me in a way, if that makes any sense. But anyway, next question in terms of the Q&A portion is, what was your thoughts before the race? And honestly, I didn't really think of anything really. I was just locked in. Like, I don't want to sound like just too serious or whatever, too cool for school or whatever, but honestly, I think that's kind of how you should be on race day, especially like a big moment like that. Like, you just have to, all right, it's crunch time, just being locked into what you're really about to do. You know what I'm saying? What time you're going to lay down, what effort you're about to lay down. But my thoughts before the race, I mean, honestly, I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous. I was really nervous because, 13.1 miles is a long distance and a lot of stuff can happen in that amount of time. But I didn't really think of too much, which is kind of a good thing because I didn't want to psych myself out and overthink it. But not really too much. I would say the day before I was a bit more worried because of how I felt, like I said, but right before the start line, I felt very relaxed. I was just, ready to take off and start the race or whatever. But last question for today's episode is, how did you feel after? And I kind of foreshadowed this a bit. Well, did I don't remember. But felt very accomplished. Like, honestly, Sunday was one of the best days of my life, like, ever, because just how the race went, having Coach and Chris there with me, and then just I went to Kava after, because I mean, if you know me personally, if I'm gonna eat out, which is kind of rare, I love Kava. I love their falafel and all that. I mean, good stuff there. I mean, you give me the pita with the falafel, smacker, really good. But mentally, I felt very accomplished. I just felt very relieved and kind of like at peace in a sense. Like, I just felt like I executed the race the best I could, and I was just happy with the effort. But in terms of my legs, I'm not gonna lie, it was very hard to walk for the 2 to 3 days after. But like I said, today's like the first day I actually felt somewhat normal. Like, I don't have really any brain fog, and my legs feel decent. Like, I can actually walk up a flight of stairs and not feel like super just cooked, But yeah, as of now, I feel really good. I feel like tomorrow I'll probably be 100% recovered. I won't start running until a week after this week, but I'll start lifting very soon. But yeah, felt very good mentally, physically. Whole nother story. I was cooked, I'm not gonna lie, but I didn't know a half marathon would do that to you, because I just heard that with ultra marathons and stuff. But I guess when you get more experience, like, the fatigue will be I don't think it'll be as apparent, because your body's more adapted to it or whatever. But anyway, that's all the questions I got, and that's all the things I got to say for this week's episode. But hopefully y'all got informed of how the race went and how I felt about it and all that, because I mean, hey, we finally did it. 121.28, 5 months in the making, and hey, it's there. So yeah, that's really all I got to say for today's episode. Hopefully y'all enjoyed whenever y'all watching this, and yeah, I'm gonna see y'all next time.